The Rise of Napoleon, Part 1, The Corsican Outsider, 1769 to 1793. To understand how a single man could seize control of a chaotic nation and eventually dominate a continent, one must first understand that Napoleon Bonaparte was not born a French hero. He was born a conquered subject. The Island and the Outsider. Napoleon was born Napoleone di Bonaparte on August 15, 1769 in Ajaccio, Corsica. The timing was crucial. Only a year prior, the Republic of Genoa had sold Corsica to France. Had he been born just 15 months earlier, he would have been Italian. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, was a lawyer and a political opportunist who quickly aligned himself with the French occupiers to secure the family's future. This betrayal of the Corsican independence cause allowed Carlo to secure a royal scholarship for his second son Napoleon to attend military school in France. When the young Napoleon arrived in France at age 9, he was an outcast. He spoke French with a heavy Corsican accent, which he never lost, and was relentlessly bullied by the aristocratic French students who saw him as a poor foreign barbarian. This isolation fueled a fire within him. Withdrawing into books, he devoured history, geography, and mathematics. He idolized Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar. He learned early that to survive he had to be smarter and harder than the wealthy peers who mocked him. 2. The artillery officer. At 16, Napoleon graduated from the prestigious École Militaire in Paris. While his classmates went into the cavalry, the dashing aristocratic branch, Napoleon chose the artillery. This was a fateful choice. Artillery was the only branch of the army where advancement was based on mathematical skill and merit rather than noble birth. It was the branch of the future, scientific, destructive, and modern. When the French Revolution erupted in 1789, Lieutenant Bonaparte was 20 years old. While other officers fled the country in horror at the mob violence, Napoleon embraced the revolution. Not because he was a radical Jacobin at heart, but because he was a pragmatist. The revolution destroyed the class system that had held him back. In the chaos of the new republic, a poor Corsican officer could rise as high as his talent would take him. 3. The Siege of Toulon, the first spark. By 1793, France was tearing itself apart. The port city of Toulon, home to the French Navy, had rebelled against the revolutionary government and invited the British Navy to protect them. The Republic sent an army to retake the city, but they were incompetent and leaderless. Through a stroke of luck and political connections, the 24-year-old Captain Bonaparte was given command of the artillery at Toulon. Napoleon did not act like a junior officer. He immediately saw what the generals had missed. He realized that if he could capture a specific hill overlooking the harbor, Leguiette, his cannons could dominate the port and force the British fleet to evacuate. For weeks he slept by his cannons, bullying his superiors into following his plan. He gathered equipment, trained the men, and eventually led the assault himself, taking a bayonet wound to the thigh. The plan worked perfectly. The British fleet, under fire from Napoleon's guns, fled the harbor. Toulon fell. In the eyes of the government in Paris, a star was born. In a matter of months, Napoleon was promoted from captain to brigadier general. He was 24 years old. IV. The wilderness and the whiff of grape shot. Despite his success at Toulon, Napoleon almost lost everything. When the Reign of Terror ended and Robespierre was executed in 1794, Napoleon was briefly arrested for being friends with Robespierre's brother. He was released but found himself destitute in Paris, a general without a command, wandering the streets in a worn-out uniform. Destiny intervened again in October 1795. A royalist mob of 30,000 people marched on the National Convention in Paris, intending to overthrow the government. The government had few troops and no leader. In a panic, they called on the hero of Toulon. Napoleon did not hesitate. He realized that against a mob, muskets were useless. He needed absolute force. He ordered his cavalry to seize cannons and placed them at strategic intersections throughout Paris. When the mob advanced, Napoleon didn't fire warning shots. He fired grape shot, canisters filled with metal balls that turn a cannon into a giant shotgun, directly into the crowd. Hundreds were mowed down in minutes. The mob fled. He famously described this later as giving them a whiff of grape shot. He had saved the Republic, but he had done it by slaughtering French citizens on the streets of Paris. The message was clear. Napoleon was a man of order, and he would do whatever was necessary to maintain it. As a reward, he was given command of the army of Italy, a ragged, starving force fighting the Austrians. Most in Paris thought it was a suicide mission. Napoleon saw it as his path to glory.